I know, a Ford towing a Chevy. We bought this truck at an auction, sight unseen, running rough. We got it running, but in the comments they told me it didn't matter because it was a Chevy, so the transmission's gonna go out. Well, they were right. Since we got it running, I've driven it about 700 or 800 miles, and it runs great. In the last few weeks, I started to notice a very slight slip in the transmission, and then the other day, all of a sudden I put it into reverse and it just slipped really hard going into reverse. Then did the same going back into drive, and then it wouldn't go into drive or reverse at all. I was completely stuck. I was towing a trailer, so the transmission was hot, but it wasn't overheated. It was about 150 degrees or so. But the fluid is a lot thinner when it's at a higher temperature. I got it towed back here, and then it sat for a few days. It was a cool morning, around 60 degrees or so, and I was able to get it to go into drive, pull forward, and then back it into the shop. It felt relatively strong in drive, but it was slipping a good bit backing on in here. So I think I'm gonna start by dropping the pan and taking a look at the fluid to see what kind of shavings are in there, what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. So I'm pretty certain it's impossible to drop this pan and change the fluid on one of these without spilling the oil everywhere. Just because that's the nature of the way this is set up. There's no drain plug. What I try to do is I'll go ahead and crack loose and pull out pretty much all the bolts except for these 3 on the back and then 2 on the front. And then I'll just pull all the rest of them out of here. So now I've just got these 2 bolts in the front in. I've got 2 on either side that are halfway out. And then these 3 are still in. I guess I started loosening this side. And then since I've got the truck on the ramps and the back end is facing downhill, I will drop the back end of the pan all the way and let it kind of drain out some into my catch pan. And hopefully not spill too much more in the process. So these 2 are just sitting in there. Those 2 and these 2 are completely tight. So go ahead and put our catch pan underneath because we're going to try and shoot it out the back this way. Go ahead and pull this one out. And we can see it starting to drip now. We'll pull this one out. It's going to lower it. We'll get more drips. Hopefully we're hitting the pan. And then I'm going to loosen these 2 bolts in the very back. Just a little bit at a time. And that's going to let it start to fall down some more. Most of it's going in the pan. Now I'm just going to let it sit right like that and drain out as much as it'll drain. All right, now it's starting to slow down up the hill, which means it's draining out to more towards the downhill level. So I'll go ahead and loosen these guys just a little bit more. Just got to be patient. We can see our stream on the exhaust has pretty much slowed down. So pretty much only just coming from the back. So we'll back these out a couple more turns. It's going to lower that pan more. It's probably too much. It's starting to splash everywhere. Getting a little aggressive. Remember what I said about being patient. I'm going to go ahead and drop these bolts all the way out. Then I'm going to pull this guy out completely. No, you probably can't see this one. There it goes. And now we're sitting down on the exhaust. And that's why I like dropping the back too. It's got this cross pipe. And if you drop it down right there, then it'll sit on that. And you can drain out almost all of it. This side of the pan is sitting on the exhaust. Just pull these last 2 bolts out. And then we can just slide it out the front. I guess here's where I want to move my oil pan up to the front, because I got to get under the filter. Here we go. And then we'll dump it in. So here's the inside of a pan. We're definitely seeing above normal amount of material in here. A little bit of stuff stuck to the magnet is not abnormal by any means. That's a good bit of stuff stuck to the magnet there. Well, that isn't as bad as it could be, but there's certainly more shavings in there than there should be. And the fluid looks more like used engine oil than transmission fluid. I know some people might say, flush it out, put new fluid in it and see how it does, but I've also heard of people that have changed the fluid when it's so dirty like this, and then the transmission just completely goes out. I don't know the science behind it, but something to do with the fluid being thicker when it's dirtier keeps it going when it's more worn out. I know Lucas makes an anti-slip additive that you can add, which is essentially just a high viscosity transmission fluid that you add it in there and it raises the viscosity of your fluid. So it's something to do with thicker fluid keeping it going, and I think we proved that when I was able to drive it when it was cold, but it wouldn't go into gear at all when it was hot. But either way, I don't think changing the fluid is going to make it reliable, and I don't want to put $150 worth of fluid and filter into it just to prolong this issue. So now we have to decide, do we want to rebuild it or replace it with a used or remanufactured transmission? Until I get quotes on those things, I don't really know which one's going to be the best, but I know that in any of those options, the transmission's got to come out. So let's get started on that part. Since we're going to be pulling the drive shaft, I just want to make sure that I got the wheel shock, but the parking brake's an extra safety there, and it's not a transmission mounted brake, it is a rear wheel brake. I'm going to go ahead and mark this cap and then this part of the yoke so that I know these parts go back together. I think it's 7/16. There we go. There's one side. There we go. So it looks like there's two nuts on the back side here. It's like this back one I can only get to with the ratchet, so we'll run that one loose first. And this one we could do with the impact. And then it's gonna drop on my face, so that's why I want to use the impact so it drops on my face quickly. All right. Now we'll see if we can get this thing slid out of the back of the transmission. There it goes. Up. Nice. Highly would recommend a catch pan for that scenario. There were some questions on the last video as to whether I'm a professional mechanic or not. I'm definitely not a professional mechanic. I'm just a guy who likes to work on his own stuff. I have never worked on one of these 6L90 transmissions before. I have done fluid changes and flushes on the older 4L60, 4L80 transmissions, which are very similar to this one, but I've never taken a transmission out, so I'm figuring this out as we go. So now I got to get this exhaust out of the way. Not entirely sure that the passenger side needs to come out, other than the hanger that's on the side of the transmission. With the catalytic converter for the driver's side right there, I'm not sure that I would be able to get the driver's side out without taking the passenger side out first. I think we'll disconnect it right there. We need to pull this O2 sensor, and then we'll pull it from the manifold there. Looks like these just have a key here, kind of a safety lock. And then pull tab. Pull the tab and pull it out. Pretty simple. So I think I'm just going to unplug the sensors and then be careful with them coming out. Too long of an extension, I guess. Let's try the 3/8 and see if that one will get in there. All right. Looks like we're turning the whole stud. I'm gonna put some penetrating oil from the top side. both pipes are attached to the side of the transmission with these hangers. Both hangers are attached to the same bracket, and there's one bolt that anchors that hanger bracket to the transmission. It's behind this shield, and I thought I could just remove the shield and then remove that one bolt, but the shield won't come off until the brackets are removed. I pulled out this bolt that holds the wiring harness, and then that gave me access to pull out the upper bolt for the exhaust hanger. Just wiggling this here. Let's see if we can get this pried out of there behind this shield. The bolt appears to be out of the hole. I know you can't see it, I can barely see it. I wonder if I can just pry the whole bushing off this way now. There it goes. Now it's out. So now I think I can just slide this bushing out of here. There we go. So it turns out I need to get both pipes completely unbolted and drop them both down, and then I can get them out individually. There we go. I think we're all free now. I think we can slide this guy and the shield and everything out of the way. Figure out where I can sit so that it's not going to hit me in the face. There we go. Let me just slide it forward and it'll come right out. Yep. Next step is going to be to pull off the wiring harness. There we go. Just pull it right out. Yep. Then this bracket that holds the fuel lines. And then take this shifter cable off. Yeah, this is just going to wiggle right off. So wiggle this clip out of there. Well, looks like if I pinch these, it should slide back. There we go. Slide back and then up, maybe. Oh, just all the way out. Okay. Now we need to remove the starter so that we can get to the bolts that hold the flex plate to the torque converter. I already pulled the bolts out while I was waiting for the penetrating oil to soak on the exhaust. There's just 2 bolts up from the bottom. We're definitely going to be doing a rear main seal while we got this transmission on here, that's for sure. There we go. There's a shield in the way. So we're trying to get this cover out of here because I believe that's how you get to the bolts that hold the flex plate to the torque converter. So it looks like there's a little 10mm right here. For that little cover, there we go. This little inspection cover here. So I'm going to turn this up until I can get to that bolt. It's just coming up there. I think we got 3 total, so we're going to have to go basically all the way around. So I'm going to have to put my bore and hold with one hand. One down. Allegedly 2 more to go. All right. We're back to the beginning. That's the bolt we took out, and we can see the gap there when we pry on it. I think all that's left are these transmission cooler lines, and then we'll be ready to start pulling the transmission out of here. So we've got our lower bolts down here and our upper bolts out of the bell housing. There's still 2 on either side. Now we got to get this cross member out of here. What I've got is this dolly with these 2 scissor jacks. It's plenty far enough for that. We'll do the rest by hand. I'm going to try and get this one basically right under the front of the pan. just gonna get this to where this is just not even tight really on this front one. And this guy, they're both tight, but I'm obviously not lifting anything. We got this 118 millimeter here. Pull this last bolt out of here on the transmission mount. There it goes. Now we're out of there. Four more bolts in the bell housing here. There's a little hole here. Getting it worked loose. You can kind of just pry it with this. That dowel pin right there is what we're working against. There we go. Trying to lower it evenly, very slowly. I've got a floor jack that the back is sitting on, so I think I can pull out the rear scissor jack. All right, so that's successfully sitting on the floor jack in the back. I do have a third one of these scissor jacks. I've got that up here in the front with the board across. Now I should be able to lower the center jack. All right, we're off the dolly. So we're gonna attempt to slowly lower, just a little bit at a time. I'm gonna try and lower the floor jack just a little bit. All right, let's stop there. Do some more up here. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the floor jack all the way now. Still slowly if possible. There it goes. Easy, 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 easy. There we go. Finish setting down all the way up here. Now we're running into that cross member. So I'm gonna go back on this floor jack now. So we'll run these jacks back up here. So where it's sitting right now, the transmission is not going to fit out under the frame rail. The truck is too low, or the bell housing is too tall, however you want to look at it. After taking a bunch of different measurements, I think our best option is going to be to jack up the front here a little bit further, pull this ramp out of here, take this wheel off, and then we should be able to slide out through the wheel well, basically, if we just jack it up another inch or two from where it's sitting right now. So I'm going to try to start with the floor jack here, if I can. Get it off of these blocks. I'm going to try and slide these back so I can get it under there further. Just go down. Just roll forward. And this dolly's doing a wheelie, which that's cool too. Let's see if I can pivot this to the side. And I'm basically going to try and just let this thing fall onto the 1x4 here and get it out from under the jack. Or 1x6, I guess. 2x6. I can't talk. Okay, there we go. I think that might clear. Now can I just slide the whole thing on the board? That's my goal. So we are under right there. So I just gotta slide it. I don't know if the jack's gonna roll or if I'm gonna pull this. Here. See if I can push the jack. There it goes. Just gotta clear underneath that far enough. All right. So let's see if I can just slide the thing on these blocks now. Yeah, there we go. Not too bad. And we're out. Well, it's out of there. Now I gotta decide, do I wanna rebuild it? I could do it myself. I've never done that before, but I'm up to learn it. Or I could take it to a local shop to have them rebuild it. I could also get a used transmission or a rebuilt one and just swap that out. I'm gonna get quotes and see what might be the best, and probably, unless I decide I want to take it somewhere locally, I'll probably tear this down and see what's wrong with it, and that might play into that decision as well. We're also gonna have that oil leak to address. I'm not entirely sure if it's the rear main seal or the oil pan or maybe both, but we're gonna have to take a look at that as well. So we've got a lot more projects coming up on this one. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you back here next time.